Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2003 Subaru Legacy L SE. Up front is a 2.5 liter flat 4, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Subaru Legacy for one main reason. I guess two reasons, really. Well, first of all, it is an extremely low mileage example. This only has 36,000 miles on it. It was a one-owner vehicle up until recently, always serviced at the same Subaru dealer here in Indiana, just feet from where the vehicle itself was built. And so this is a very clean example, probably the cleanest example of an 03 Legacy that I'll ever drive. But the second reason is the fact that I really like these, so I'll share with you why that is. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that flat 4 under the hood. Well, that was the only engine offered here in the Legacy during this era. Now, overseas, they actually got a twin turbo. And at the same time, the Outback could be had with the flat 6. I drove an LL Bean Outback that you'll notice looks very similar to this, same chassis, mostly the same car. That got the flat 6, but the Legacy itself only got the flat 4. I'll put the horsepower on the screen. It's not anything crazy. It definitely has that signature Subaru rumble to it, which I of course like, and it has been relatively reliable enough. However, I'm judging that on a car that has only gone 36,000 miles, which is the standard warranty for most vehicles, so not really an accomplishment here. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. A lot of people hate the CVTs that came later from Subaru, and a lot of people accidentally attribute vehicles like this to having CVTs. That's not the case. This is before they used the CVT, and although the 4EAT isn't the best transmission in the world, it's better than the CVTs that came after it, so in terms of picking the least bad one, this is it. Last but not least, this does have Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which I have been quoted as saying is one of the best all-wheel drive systems, and that's true here in the Legacy. How does it feel to drive a 36,000 mile Subaru Legacy? It's quite nice, however, it's not perfect. It still has a somewhat harsh ride, which is reassuring knowing that the ride stays the same, whether it's a 36,000 mile car or a 150,000 mile car. What I really like about this generation of Legacy is how light on its feet it feels. It doesn't feel overweight or bloated like some of the later cars did, especially in the 2010s. The Legacy got big. This is little. This is still thin and agile. It feels like one of those lightweight running raincoats that people wear. And I like that. Visibility is good. I love the wagon. It's easy to get in and out of because it is low to the ground, but not super low. So I'm still able to get in and out with a decent amount of ease. So I like to see that from Subaru. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my fuel and speedometer, and off to the right is the tachometer and coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, we don't get anything. We do get a little stalk for cruise control, but that is it. And off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, fog light switch, and our cruise control accompanied by a nice wood panel. The SE was only for 2003. In 2004, they did a 35th anniversary, which basically filled the gap of the SE. But this was the special edition, so it got things like the alloy wheels, the dual sunroofs, and some wood accenting. But getting back to it, on the door, we do have power windows and power mirrors, along with power locks. And moving into the center, we get 2 climate control vents, along with the hazard switch and our climate controls. Temperature off to the left, fan speed in the center, where to send it off to the right. That's it. Very, very simple. As I mentioned, we have an aftermarket radio. It has been swapped out. However, the original SE would have had a CD player, but this one does not. And down below, we do have an ashtray, cigarette lighter, And the shifter, again, accented by this nice wood. It has a leather-wrapped shifter for the SE as well, along with the leather-wrapped steering wheel, where other Legacy Ls were just rubber. We have some coin holders with the all-wheel drive logo, and we have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 03 Legacy. Unfortunately, it fails, but that was pretty much to be expected. Then we have the handbrake and the center console. And then the seats. The seats are cloth. However, they are very comfortable. And of course, because it only has 36,000 miles, they have not been torn up. They have not been ripped up. They are still very, very good looking and just well preserved. So if you want to know what a factory fresh, showroom quality 03 Subaru Legacy seat looked like, here it is. I'm happy to be the one to present it to you today. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. So something cool is that this was built here in Indiana, and if you could see through those trees, you would see the factory in which this car was built in. So it has been in this area its entire life. Very, very cool. Once we are getting back here, not tons of space. The cloth does carry on, and I love to see that. But stepping inside, we can close the door up here, and there we go. You know, these are better than I remember. My knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. The seat is up a little bit further than what I would normally have for driving, but I drove it the whole time with this, so it was relatively comfortable. Knees not hitting the seat in front of me. We can come down here. We do have fold-out cup holders. Very lovely to see that. We don't get any sort of center console, but we do get 2 sunroofs. Why? Well, for the special edition, that's the reason why. It's cool. You know, this is for crash protection. They didn't really know how to do a full glass roof and make it safe quite yet. So this was a safe way to do it. Very, very cool to see the dual sunroofs here in the Subaru Legacy. One more shot for the kids at home. There you go. This is a nice place to be. Would I want to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours back here? Not quite, but I also don't hate it. I have grab handles and things like that. But let's hop out, come around to this side, pull this up, and you could pull that forward so the whole seat comes forward, and then you pull, I don't know if you can see through the window, you pull this up, and then you can pull that down. If you pull the headrest out, it does form a completely flat area. The reason I don't pull the headrest out in my videos, sometimes they don't go back in, so I don't want to like break someone's car. Make sure that this is snapped up in there. It doesn't seem to want to hold. There we go, and then right back down like that. So in one foul swoop, we can now check out the back of the car, pull it up like that, and there you go. This is why you got the Legacy wagon over the sedan, was for the sheer amount of space. You do get a giant cargo concealment device right there. You can also pull this up. You do have some added storage and spare tire, back in the era where car companies used to give you spare tires. I know, a trivial idea here in 2026. Absolutely love this, not only for the amount of space, but again, as I keep oogling over this 36,000 mile clean example, you know, this hasn't been destroyed by golden doodles, or this hasn't had a million different muddy pairs of trousers thrown in the back and ingrained into the carpet. Look at this carpet. It's so fresh and clean. I absolutely love that. I would eat off that, but it is not mealtime here for me. So, grab handle up here, manual rear hatch. There you go. That is the rear cargo space of the Subaru Legacy from 2003. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I do like the look of the Legacy. Whenever I think of a Subaru Legacy, this is the generation that I tend to think of. Maybe the later, like 2005 Legacy wagon. I do particularly like that. But I overall think this is really simple and really effective. This isn't trying to wow you with all the glitz and glamour of a Subaru Legacy like some of the new cars are. This doesn't have many bells and whistles because it didn't need to. It didn't need to prove itself to you. This car is very capable, it's very outdoorsy, it's very utilitarian, and so it kind of is what it is, and You could figure out the rest if you need to. I do want to just take a look at, though, how clean this car is. Normally, most of these are pretty rotted out, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But to see one of these with clean fenders that aren't bubbling, rocker panels that aren't bubbling, chipping, and popping like Rice Krispie treats is very, very cool. This is a museum quality example of the Subaru legacy. And that is something very special. With all that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving this 36,000 mile Subaru Legacy? I like it, obviously. I don't really have any overarching thoughts, feelings, or opinions, or no epiphanies were had during the making of this video. These cars were good. They are still very good. And it's just cool to drive an example that is still what it was like. Because these cars were very good off-road, they're very good at what they are able to do, and they're affordable. You can find these on the used market in worse condition for very, very cheap. If you needed a winter beater, this was the car to go with. The all-wheel drive system rocked, and who cares if it was a little rusty? So a lot of these cars, all of these cars ended up getting really rusty, especially here in the northern states. They were used up and thrown away. This one happened to be saved by an elderly couple that just didn't drive all that much. And so seeing this is kind of like seeing a cleaned, polished hiking boot. Or if you've ever gone into a mechanic's garage and seen every tool organized and shined up, it makes you actually start to wonder how good of a mechanic they are. I kind of want my mechanic to be dirty. I want him to be eating his ham sandwich while his hands are covered in oil and grit. I want my mechanic to not know where he just put the 10 mil, even though it was just in his hand. So I like my Subarus dirty. I like my Subarus rusty. I like my Subarus with this sort of fighting spirit of defying the junkyard, because that's the spirit that these cars have. And so to now be driving this clean, polished, and showroom-ready one almost feels a little odd. It almost feels disrespectful, but it's important to show you what these cars were like before they went down that path, before they started on the journey of no return via salt and rust and mud and rock chips. So here it is. If you wanted to buy a 2003 Subaru Legacy fresh off the lot, this is what it would have looked like. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Kenny for letting me borrow his Subaru Legacy for today's video. And also, huge thank you to his friend Zack for accompanying us here today on the shoot. Absolutely wonderful. Kenny was fantastic to work with. I really, really appreciate him meeting me here and letting me show off his showroom quality cars. Something that I'm not quite sure I'll be able to show you again. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.